like to have some insight. And from my physical perspective, I'm involved in a lot of different activities of my life. Physical activities, I love the outdoors, indoor activities, mostly outdoors. I've been involved with skiing, tennis, running, but I've been in surfing for the past 9 years. And in the activity of being out in the ocean, it's not just the play and the fun and the exercise I get while I'm in it, but it's what I feel after I am out. And I realize that our ocean has a non-physical representation. I feel the resonance of it after I'm done. I feel this like centeredness and at peace. I'm trying to understand what goes on as a form of healing, and then how I could do that without even going in the ocean. What can I do as far as, I guess, meditation? I can reach that at the same place, but I have a lot of fun when I do the surfing activity.
Well, what it represents is significant distraction from resistance, because Jerry and Esther noticed as they moved from city to city to city to city to city to city with workshops, that every city has a different feeling to it, and that there was always this calm, centered well-being that was easy to accomplish when they were out in the desert or out in the water or in a more remote place where there was less population. They also noticed that they felt it in populations that were more diverse, where there wasn't a central idea that might be resistant to their idea that they were bumping up against. So it's just bumping up against less thoughts that trigger resistance in your own being, because in the absence of thought that is resistant, you would feel that way everywhere. That's why you wisely suggested that meditation would help you to accomplish the same thing. But because we would far rather see you in an attitude of appreciation than in an experience of meditation, because in either case there's no resistance, and in appreciation you're flowing energy to something. It's a more creative experience than it is an aligning experience. So of course, someone who was fearful of the water or fearful of sharks or fearful of the unknown might not find that to be an environment for them that was conducive to alignment. But in your sense of physical prowess and well-being, where you have no fear about things like that, it's just the absence of things that are resistant in nature that you're focusing on. And because it's an activity that takes a little bit of preparation, you have to make a deliberate intention to go there. You get out into the water, you're there for a while. It takes you a while to settle into it, and you probably notice that it takes you a little while for your thoughts to settle down and no longer focus upon things that might have been annoying or troubling. But eventually the ocean just has its positive way with you.
Right.
And so anything that has its positive way with you is a wonderful way to spend time. We think your question is important, though, in its twofoldness nature, in that because you're acknowledging that you can't always go out there in order to feel like that, and you'd like to feel like that more of the time. And that's why we're saying it's all about focus, and you can get to the point that you feel that way all of the time. And sometimes what it takes a desire to feel good that sometimes is fostered in a stronger way by something that doesn't feel so good. In other words, anything that happens that makes you more determined to focus yourself into well-being is a helpful thing. It's just a decision. I want to feel good, and therefore I'm going to guide my thoughts into ways that I do.
You mentioned that Jerry and Esther feeling that resonance out in the desert, and I was a month ago, I was in Grand Junction, Colorado, which is, I used to live there. I have some friends there, and I was visiting. It's high desert country. It has a very interesting feel to it. I was eating a meal with a friend. I was eating a meal with her, and we both have had our parents transition. I won't say that we've lost them, because I made that mistake with you before. So they transitioned to the non-physical. And And she was sharing with me her mother's last couple of years and how she had to take her mother's driver's license away from her. And as she was talking, this has never happened to me before in my life. I felt this presence over my left shoulder. And at the same time I felt it, my third chakra lit up in a resonance. And then it was almost like a block of thought came in. I have never experienced mediumship before. And I felt the urge to tell her that I feel your mom is here. And
you could feel her because you're still in the vibration of non-resistance, while she would have a more difficult time feeling her because she was suffering the thoughts of the last years of her decline.
right.
But by that's the point that we're making. And as you call it, mediumship, we want to soften it and make it not that stark a thing. We want you to accept the naturalness of all that has been before, focused with you in your powerful moments, to the degree that you will allow it. Because really, when you think about it, we talked about this before, and it's the best way to step into this subject that people have a harder time accepting. The house that is vacant disintegrates, where the house that is occupied does not. And it's not about
the bugs coming in. It's not about that.
It's not about the continual repair. It's about things that are focused upon stay actualized. And so your planet and its longevity are about the attention from those like your friend's mother. In other words, all of that consciousness is there. Every one of you who have known someone who has reemerged into non-physical have access to them all day, every day, if you want. And we understand that some of those relationships were relationships you were glad that came to an end. But there are a lot of relationships. In other words, everyone that you know who has reemerged into non-physical is now fully functioning in the fullness of that which they are. And they are intricately and with love and focus beyond our ability to find words, interested in what you are about. So there is nothing more meaningful than a moment like that. And what you felt was the fullness of that consciousness, and in your openness to feel it, you had a more powerful moment. And if you had been drumming, and it had been drumming energy that had been flowing through you, you would have felt the inspiration and reveled in it, you see.
Okay.
That's what's happening to you out there in the ocean also.
Right. Well, it's not just because the ocean is a great conductor of electromagnetic and electricalness. We are also, while we're alive, while we're in this body, we have electromagnetic fields.
Well, there are a lot of physiological and scientific ways to describe what the physical experience is. And our words are general and maybe bulky as we talk about it all being energy and vibration.
Yeah.
But it's consciousness that you have access to, and to the degree that you want to feel it. And you see, the majority, this conversation is very meaningful and important, this one right now, because you are helping us to define this non-physical interaction through emotional words rather than through thinking.
I want to feel it more and more of the time. I want to feel it more often, have a conscious, deliberate desire to.
Well, your desire is there, and okay. Now that you're consciously having those experiences, we just don't want you in your determination to turn it into words like mediumship.
Okay.
To keep yourself from having the full experience of it. It's like for Esther. So years ago, she discovered through meditation that she could feel us, and she began to unconsciously translate what we were knowing into words that were meaningful. And that's all been very helpful to millions and to Esther as well. But now that the words are all in place and never-endingly flowing, she's discovering a conversation of emotion that's deeper and richer and better than any word. Words are scanty in comparison with depths of emotion. And we just want you to understand that you go backwards when you try to find the words.
When
you've
it,
already experienced the emotion that you've experienced. In other words,
I go backwards if I try to analyze it.
The feeling of love, the beingness of love is so much more than the word love.
Right.
And love, you would need dozens and dozens of words to even come close to defining what the feeling of love is. It's security, it's well-being, it's knowledge, it's adoration, it's appreciation, it's intelligence. It's so much more than any one word can define, but it's so much more than all of the words could define. So when you have a moment like that, where a person has brought someone into focus and you feel the fullness of them right there with you, giving you that loving hug from the inside out, giving you that acknowledgement of well-being from the inside out, this is what we're talking about. And this is what this current population of humans on this planet is sorely depriving itself of. There is so much to be received, but in the attempt to articulate it, then it gets freaky and you don't allow yourself to live it, you see. That ocean is alive. It's alive with all that has ever been in it, and all that is in it, and all that was in it that is not in it, and all that is non-physical that is knowing about it. In other words, it is a soup of well-being. Yes. That when you relax yourself into, but the entire physical environment is a soup of well-being, you see.
Is there surfing on the other side?
This is the point that we're really wanting to make. There is no other side. There's just another perspective of this side.
Is there surfing on the
Can you hear that?
non-physical?
There is no other side. This is where the leading edge is, and this is where all of us are. And to the degree that you accept that, you allow yourself to the real party.
Okay.
You see.
Now, I assume that Esther is hearing Jerry more often now?
More and more.
More and more.
She just pesters the life out of him. Oh, no, that was before.
He allows her to sleep, of course, right?
Oh, it is a comfortable dance where when Esther is focused in a moment, he is always there, and to the degree that she recognizes that he is there, or asks him to be, or wants him to be, then he is there. And something that she is noticing that is delighting her, because it's just like he always was when he was in his physical shoes, is that she'll be in the middle of a thought about something she wants some assistance with, something that she is trying to make a decision about. So she will formulate her question to him very clearly, and then feel him as he is beginning to express, and she recognizes it clearly as him. It is his clarity and his personality, and it is his demeanor, it is his feeling, the feeling of well-being that she always had from him. But then she'll listen, and she'll feel that the conversation has gone as far as it is going to go. As far as she is able to allow it to go, and suddenly she finds herself ridiculously focused on something like, I wonder if that flax plant is going to keep growing and block my ocean view. And then she realized that too is Jerry distracting her, taking her into another thought and another thought, just like he always did. When they were discussing something and he was finished, he always changed the subject, and still is. And at first, she was apologizing to him, like, oh, I'm sorry, I sort of lost my train of thought, and after all, I've summoned you from the heavens, at least I could pay attention to the answer that you're giving me. And then she realized, it's you, you freaky person. It's you. You're the one who made me watch the hummingbird fly away. You're the one who made me be interested in that or that or that. When you begin co-creating in this co-creative dance with non-physical, your physical experience becomes deeper and richer than ever.